Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cinema Flow podcast. I'm your host, Zach Abdulbaki, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Miss Emma Halleen. She's one of the best young actresses working today, and you can catch her on the brand new television series, The Beauty, streaming now on Hulu in the US and Disney Plus internationally. Now, without further ado, please welcome to the show, Emma Halleen. How are you doing, Emma?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Glad to have you on and thank you for taking the time. You are now part of The Beauty, which is an incredible show. You've been part of the Ryan Murphy universe before with American Horror Stories. The Beauty, however, is about a drug sort of like the substance that allows people to become younger, skinnier, and meet conventional beauty standards. The cast includes heavy hitters like Ashton Kutcher, Evan Peters, Rebecca Hall, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, Vincent D'Onofrio, Isabella Rossellini. The cast is incredible, but I must say my favorite episodes were the final two episodes, number 10 and 11, because that is when your character, Bella Grant, takes center stage and basically becomes the protagonist for a while. Your performance was incredible. I think this is your best work so far. Can you please tell the audience about Bella Grant and what her role in the story is?
So, Bella is a teenager. She's attending school with her best friend Ruthie, and it has World Beauty Day has happened, which is Ashton Kutcher's character's sort of like plan for mass releasing this drug into the economy and into people. And so they're like my character is being inundated with ads saying, you should get the beauty, you should get the beauty. Your life is horrible now, and if you get this, it's going to be amazing, and you're going to have this amazing life. And so she sort of falls prey into that, falls victim, becomes a victim, and she wants to take the beauty. Unfortunately for her, she can't afford it, and so she sort of looks into black market options. And that's where we find her in the story is what happens to her as she goes through that. So she's good. What I love about her is I think she is kind of a go-getter. Like, she's smart, she's funny, she's a skeptic, and the whole world is before her, and she all of those traits that are so positive are now being manipulated into getting this drug that's going to hurt her. So I think that's a really cool. I love this character. I really had fun playing her.
Yeah, it's a very fascinating character, because anyone who's watching the show would think like, obviously your character doesn't need to take the beauty. I think it's very realistic because no matter how beautiful someone is, there are always going to be people who criticize themselves. So I'm curious as to what your process was like preparing for this role and creating the backstory to inform her desire for like why she wants to take the beauty.
Well, I think there's a pretty universal drive for most people, but I especially think young girls, where they feel that they have to be at base level,
Mhm.
sort of like cosmetically perfect.
Yeah.
And then from there, they can be intelligent and have great personalities and all this stuff. But it almost feels like a prerequisite sometimes growing up to be beautiful. And I think, like, you know how you look at a picture and you hate yourself in the picture, and then you look back at it in 5 years and you're like, I love this photo. I think growing up is kind of like that. Like, you are not happy with your current state, and I think that's natural because you're being pushed to the next thing in your life, and not being content is part of what drives you forward. But I think when you are being exploited with drugs like the beauty, it becomes incredibly dangerous and you might not live through the process. I think stepping into that is honestly pretty natural because I think that I've had those experiences and those thought processes of not feeling desirable or validated enough, feeling like that if I did something, if I looked different, I could lead a better life. So I think it came pretty naturally. And I think it's interesting, like, my own Instagram is filled with ads for Row or like GLP-1 products and beauty products. Like, everything I see is how I can make myself more beautiful. And so it's interesting, like, that it is a massive pressure on everyone, but I think on young women a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Ryan Murphy has described the show as a commentary on Ozempic culture. And it's funny you mentioned Roe because my Hulu account has ads, and I actually got ads for Roe while watching this show.
I couldn't believe it. It was dystopian. I was watching the beauty and, like it's turning these like perfectly fine people into monsters or like they're combusting. And all of a sudden they're like, you should get GOP1. And all of the ads were like that. It was insane. What row ad did you get? There's like four of them I've seen.
I don't remember exactly, but I just remember it was like skincare ad, Weight Watchers, like everything you can think of. I guess the bear gets food ads, and then this show gets those ads.
That makes more sense though for the bear, I think. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, but it was pretty meta. But I looked at the ratings and the show is doing really well. What is it about this concept that you think is connecting with people so much? Maybe it's connecting with the teens because of all the social media, people compare themselves to like, supermodels. But why do you think it's taking off so much?
Well, I think the cast is amazing. I think there are really like popular heavy hitters on the cast who are brilliant in what they do. So I think that's part of it. But I also think like the concept, the beauty is based off of a real comic book,
Yeah.
a comic book series. And I think something that series did so brilliantly was really like it, create this like science fiction dystopian world that we over the course of the 10 years since that comic book came out have caught up to. Like it doesn't feel overly dystopian. Like I don't know if you remember when we were watching like The Hunger Games and Divergent and like all of these sci-fi movie trilogies and they felt so like fictional. Sometimes I think with the beauty it doesn't feel overly fictional. Like if I pulled up my news and it said someone combusted after taking a pill, I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, makes sense." I just think we're there. And so witnessing it and seeing like the themes that are being like told through the story, I think that's what's been powerful because I think the show has done a really good job of like showing you how the beauty is not always necessary. Like I think of Rebecca Hall and Jess Alexander, and they played Jordan, and Jordan transforms from Rebecca Hall to Jess Alexander. I'm like, well, they're both stunning. They're both healthy, gorgeous women. So what is Rebecca Hall going to transform into if she takes the beauty? Right? Like to me, she is 2.0. I just but I think it was really cool that it was a cool plot point that she turned into like a curvier version of herself. It was like you can just keep picking at yourself and picking at yourself and picking at yourself and what you are is fine. And what this other person is fine. If you're skinny, that's fine. If you're curvy, that's fine. But the grass is always greener and they want to swap. And this drug allows them to do that. And I think like that is a very relatable concept to people of like yearning for something outside of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but to some people, it's like it's never good enough. And you mentioned the cast and all these heavy hitters. There's a few more I didn't mention: John Carroll Lynch, Ben Platt, Megan Trainor, Billy Eichner, Kelly O'Hara, Anthony Rapp, Bella Hadid. Okay, let me ask you: you've had success before in American Horror Stories, but with this cast, this show is probably going to get way more viewership. How does it feel to know that all these people are going to watch your performance? Is
Oh
that an
my God.
added
I didn't even
pressure
think about
or
that.
yeah.
That did not even occur to me till this moment. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I wish I could be a fly on the wall. I mean, like, that'd be interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, my storyline was so separate from
Yeah.
theirs. Like our characters don't know each other. So we didn't, I unfortunately didn't interact with any of them. So I feel very removed. And in that way, it kind of feels like stories because that was my storyline as well with Shelby, and it felt the same with this. It was like I came and it was like the story is about Bella, which was really like fun, and I'm lucky to be able to have those experiences. But yeah, no, that's I'll definitely be thinking about that now. I didn't even like clock that.
But I think it's a good thing. I mean, I almost didn't want to mention it because I don't want to put that in your head like, oh, geez, Michael Kelso is going to see me in
He's
this show.
gonna look at this.
Uh,
What will he
what will
say?
he say? No, but you're amazing in it, and but I knew watching it, I was like, this is probably similar to Bestie, which we'll get to later. Like it's like as if you made your own movie within the show, but it's so engaging, I have to say. And also, I want to ask you, how was the audition process like? How did you get this role? Because you've been in the Ryan Murphy universe before, American Horror Stories and Monster, the Ed Gein story. Was it like a similar process or different? How'd it work?
American Horror Stories was the longest process. I had done like a self tape callback. Oh, they're passing you to network. We'll see what happens, sort of situation. With the beauty, it was just a self tape.
Hmm.
And then from that self tape, 2 weeks pass. I don't think anything of it. And I get a call on Friday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. They're working out of New York. So anytime I work with New York offices, I always feel like I'm behind because it's like 9 in the morning here and noon there. And you're just like, it feels like you're constantly playing catch up when you're working with New York. And so they call me, my agents call me like 10 a.m. and I've booked Bella. At that point in the audition, they in the dummy sides, they were calling her Brooke, but I later find out it's Bella. And then they fly me out that night to go to New York. And I take the red eye that night, and the next day is my life cast to create the prosthetics. And that was crazy because I had like that's the part where you're like, oh, that's the crazy part of being an actor because you have like obligations, you have plans, you have jobs, and then all of a sudden you don't anymore, and then you're in Brooklyn for a month. So
Wow, that's awesome. And yeah, there's some crazy practical body horror effects in this show. There's very little CGI. Without giving away spoilers, what was it like working with the makeup and effects artist to create the gnarly effect that we see on screen involving your character?
well, one, the special effects team is insane. I mean, like that's just a whole and I'll say on the show the practical effects they did, like are really commendable. I think it was such a cool choice for them to sort of like merge practical effects with VFX and their special effects makeup. I think it was really well done. We had to do a very long, I had about a half body prosthetic. So we had to do, we got my full body. So I think I was supposed to, I pulled up from the airport, went to Islip, which is where the FX studio is. And I think I was supposed to be there for like 6 to 8 hours. And I ended up being there for like 10 to 11 because it was just so extensive. They one first scanned my whole body, and so it was very cool. After they scan and you can't blink, which I found is very hard. When something moves in front of you, you want to like follow it with your eyes. And I found it difficult. But they live scan your body, and then you see your whole frame up on the computer screen, which is very cool. Like perfectly scanned in, 3D scan. And then they put these plasters over you. And the hardest one for me was when they put it over my head and my when they did my torso. The torso one is because you're standing, so like your feet ache and you can't breathe very well because it's like plaster. And then the head is just suffocating. You know, it's just like it was my first experience with a live cast over my head, over my lungs. So that was very cool, but also a little scary. But like they were pros. I mean, the coolest people, and and they worked on it. I think for that whole month. I mean, I had to fly out so quick because they needed the time to do the prosthetics.
Yeah, the ending of your character's story was the scariest moment in the show.
Yeah, that was great. That was our. What was cool about that is that was the last shot of the season,
You were
at
the
least in New
martini
York.
shot?
I believe so. I think they did some filming of stuff in LA that was like some of the beauty ads that you see
Mm,
for the actual beauty in the show of like what the corporation did. But I believe I was the martini shot of the season, which was
wow.
very cool.
That's awesome. And what was it like living in Brooklyn for a month? Was that also where you guys shot Bestie?
No, we shot Bestie in New Jersey.
Okay, well, what was it like living in New York for a month?
Great. I mean, I
Yeah.
really love Brooklyn. I just need to get to Manhattan. I have stared at Manhattan from both sides. I've been in Hoboken and stared at Manhattan, and I've been in Brooklyn and stared at Manhattan. So I just need to like, I need that's my next step. Is
Okay.
someone book me on a show in Manhattan. But it was great. Brooklyn is beautiful. We were in Williamsburg. There's some Greenpoint, I think. They have studios. But we filmed mostly outside of Brooklyn. We filmed in like White Plains, New York. We filmed outside of New York City on the Hudson River. So we did a lot of stuff not in Brooklyn. But
That's very cool. And I want to mention Michael Uppendahl is a veteran TV director. He's no stranger to the Ryan Murphy universe. What was it like working with him, and did he influence your performance in any significant ways?
oh, for sure. He's great. Yeah, I loved working with Mike. He always came with very succinct and creative notes, like notes that would completely change your character's emotional arc for the scene. And it was great because he was the type of director where you feel like you could do this one scene the whole day. Obviously, you probably can't, there's a whole schedule to keep to, but he just made you feel like you have nothing but time. So you would do this iteration that you felt strongly about, and then he'd come in with like this tiny but very effective note that would completely change the read of the character. You'd do it again. He'd be like, okay, great, we tried that. Let's try this. And it was just, it was the most takes I've ever done. And it was great because it wasn't like, oh, there was a flaw with focus or my acting messed up, or it wasn't because of mistakes. It was just because, like, well, we're here. Let's try this creative direction. Let's try this one. What if it was like this? So there was all different iterations to the point where I was like, trying to guess what direction he would go in the edit.
Did you have a favorite scene to film? One of my favorites was when you're sitting at the kitchen table talking to your parents. That
Yeah.
was, I thought, some of the best stuff you've done. But what was your favorite scene?
I found that was one of the most stressful scenes I did because there was a camera move where I'm sitting and then I'm standing, and the way that they were having to do it is they'd have to reset the scene because camera had to jump back. So in the middle of the monologue, we'd reset, and then I would basically, however far back I needed to go for my performance, and then I'd redo. And we'd only so that was like I feel like it tickled my brain. That was like a new skill I learned of resetting midway through like an emotional monologue. I think my scene with Annabelle Wechtel, I'm so sorry, Annabelle, if I said your last name wrong. She played Ruthie, and we were in the bathroom. It's the first scene. We're in the bathroom, and she's got the botched nose job. I just think she's so funny. Like it was a dream. She was so lovely to play off of, and I just think it's really sweet. It was. I'm always excited when I get to play scenes that are like more common, more like these are two girls living life, opposed to like something really dramatic happening to them.
Yeah, that was both great scenes. And again, like I was watching, I was like, "What's wrong with her nose? It looks
I
fine."
know. Well, and that's the interesting thing to navigate on a set like this. And I think the directing team, hair and makeup did a really lovely job with talking with talent because people come in and there's a 1.0 and there's a 2.0 and it's like and it's like Ruthie 1, Ruthie 2. It's like that's kind of a jarring conversation to have. And
It's like, am I the one or the two?
am I the one? And then you're like, wait, is the point? Yeah, so, but it's great because of how they handled it, and two, everyone was so on board creatively, and that's wonderful when people are not like involved with their own egos or their own worry of how they're perceived. So I felt like everyone, talent, crew, was really respectful and also on board for what we were trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. And I think it's so honest because I remember when I watched The Substance and Demi Moore, I was like, this is the best that a 63-year-old woman can look. And yet she also is so
It's
self-critical
like you're
herself.
stunning. Yeah. And
Like,
that's my favorite and it's also my mom's favorite part of the show is Nicola Peralt's Beckham who plays the young is or the 2.0 of Isabella Rossellini, which feels like a backward sentence. But she has this great monologue about wrinkles and age and character and like your body being
yeah.
this art. And I think it really drives home what the show is trying to talk about. And I feel like when cast and crew were talking about this, I think that energy was felt to the 1.0s. And I'm using quotes because it is too nuanced to just call somebody a 1.0. But
Absolutely. And when everyone does get to that, I think that is like one of the thesis statements of the show. That was a great scene. So what was your experience like watching it? Did you just watch it on TV or like what was the watch party like and how did you feel seeing your performance in the finished product?
I watched it with Anthony, and I did enjoy it. I tend to sometimes I need like a debrief period for myself to sort through. Again, it's like the photo thing. The first time you see it, you're like, oh, I would have done this differently, and this, and that, and this. But those are all internal. They're not reflecting on the show. I was very happy with it. Yeah. I think more than anything, I just really love the character of Bella. So that was the most exciting part for me, is like, I love that they're a swearing household. I love her, like, ballsiness. I love that she pawned. Like, I just love how she moves. Even though maybe it was in a foolish direction, I think she's so cool. And so I liked seeing her.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's interesting. These decisions like deciding to pawn your parents' jewelry, like it feels authentic and real and something that a dumb 18-year-old kid would do.
I thought you were gonna say something I would do, and I was like, well,
No, knowing you, it's not something
no, but
obviously.
honestly,
Yeah.
Zach, there's a good story. Before I booked I don't know if I've ever told anyone this story. Anthony knows, but before I booked American Horror Stories, I was very broke, and I was gonna donate my eggs. I was in the second round of an interview process to donate my eggs for $7,000, and I was like, I was gonna do it, and then I booked stories, and they flew me to New Jersey, and I let it go. So I get it. I mean, it's fun to like connect the parts of yourself to your character and be like, I get you. You know, girls got to do what a girl's got to do.
I do want to transition into American Horror Stories because I just rewatched your episode. It is season three, episode one. It's the premiere episode of the season. It's called Bestie. Everyone should go check that out on Hulu as well as The Beauty. It follows your character, Shelby, as she moves to a new town with her now single father. The mother passed away. She's kind of an outcast. She's lonely. She befriends a strange girl online who manipulates her into doing some messed up shit, and the story spirals into a very horrific conclusion. I remember this came out around Halloween 2023, and this was your first foray into the Ryan Murphy universe. It's sort of like a mini movie because it's 1 hour long and it's a standalone story. What was it like making this show and playing Shelby?
It was a dream. It was great. This was my first TV I'd ever done. So it was like a crazy way to kick it off. I think sometimes roles come along and they just like really match your life experiences, and I would say that's true of Shelby. I have a lot in common with her. My dad passed away when I was around her age. I moved schools, I moved around, all of that stuff. I made poor decisions with boyfriends. Like I get it. So I think in that regard, it was cool to do work that also made you feel a little like represented and perceived. And then just the whole creative team was amazing. Like Max Winkler directed it, and he was and is incredible. He just did the first episode of Love Story, which everyone is obsessing over.
He also did Monster, the Ed Gein story with you. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yeah, and he's just become and amazing actress Jessica Barden played Bestie, which was I think watching her work was incredibly educational, inspiring. I still think about it all the time, and there were other actors too. Seth Gable played my dad; he's incredible. Jeff Hiller played my teacher, like
And he went on to win an Emmy for Somebody Somewhere.
which is like I don't know. It's like, what is it? Who's the actor's favorite actor? It's got to be Jeff
Yes.
Miller. Yeah. So he's just a breath of fresh air. Like everything you see about him online or whatever is just true to real life. So got a lot of wonderful mentorship and talent around me that I still look up to and I still follow. And I'm very excited to watch their work. So that was like the main takeaway, honestly, from that. Besides it being great to be on television, besides it, like all of those things are awesome. But being able to witness people who for years have accomplished what I wanted to do was like incredibly motivating and inspiring. Yeah, that would be my takeaway from American Horror Stories. And also that I can do it, because you don't always know until you know.
I think it's very different to be good and act in like a short film versus the pressure that someone feels being on a studio set acting in front of 100 people. I've done background where like I'm definitely gonna be on camera,
Yeah.
like interacting with the
Start
principal.
sweating.
Like I brought a birthday cake on Grey's Anatomy once.
Ah, watch it. What episode?
And I did it really well. But for a moment, I was like, if I fuck this up, there's like 100 people who are gonna know. And I can't imagine what it's like having that feeling every day for a month. So, what was it like acting in a studio project for the first time, having come off of all of your short films and everything you'd done before?
Yeah. Honestly, I think there's a lot of merit to just not like being naive enough that you don't think about it.
That's
I mean, later on, I had, members of my team be like, "Oh, we were just so happy, you weren't fired," you know, and I was like, "What? That was an option? They could have fired me?"
Yeah, there was an understudy in the closet back then.
No, exactly. There's a line like this long, so I think not thinking about those things because you don't have the industry knowledge to know it was the greatest ally. And then the other thing was that just allowed me to be really pure with it, which was like, well, I just want to do Shelby justice. And then if you're thinking about that, then you can kind of live with whatever happens because your goal is pure. I think when all
Absolutely.
the industry, the business stuff gets into it, that's when you kind of start fucking it up. Excuse my French.
I also think it's probably having a good director who doesn't
Yeah.
make you feel like if I mess this up, the whole world is gonna end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say all the people I've worked with on Ryan Murphy sets are like that. I mean, they're incredibly chill. I remember like asking Max, I was like, "You're so calm. Like you're standing there in your cool T-shirt, like talking about your favorite movie, talking about Steve Martin and Parenthood. Like you're just chilling out, and you're like juggling this massive production." And he was like, "Well, yeah, because I did all my prep." I was like, "Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense." And so, everyone on Ryan Murphy sets is like that. Like they're just it's everyone is competent.
Do they rehearse at all with you before these shows, or you just come on the day prepared?
Not in my experience. With Max, we had had some discussions, and he was very. Him and Jess would have me over and make me feel comfortable because I was all alone in New Jersey, and they were very good at making sure they knew that I was supported and there were people who had my back. So that went a long ways. But as far as talking about the character, just text back and forth like conversations. But overall, I think the directors have really just allowed me to take what I think works for the story. And I think that's been the most fun is and I love that I get to just run with my instincts and interpret the writing and that I have that freedom to do that. That's the best part.
That's awesome, especially for television. Sometimes people don't even get that much, because they have to
Yeah.
shoot so many episodes.
Well, and also in defense of television, it's like you don't get all the pages. Like I think I had 36 pages given to me for episode 10 and 11 and that was my arc. I had no idea. I didn't get the rest of the script. I didn't get anything like of anyone else's story. And so you can make your best guess to what the goal is of the story and what they're trying to tell people thematically, but you actually don't really know in experiences like that. And that's why the director's there because the director knows how to shape the story. The showrunner knows how to shape the story. So I don't know. I trust the director pretty implicitly. And if they're like, just say it like this, I'll be like, oh, okay. But most of the time, it does make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, in Bestie, Shelby has really such an arc. Like that's why it feels like a movie. It's like completely different person by the end, and you're like, oh, okay, this might work out for her. And then I'm like, no, wait, this is American Horror
Never
Stories.
mind. This is AHS. That doesn't make sense. It can't work out.
Yeah, and I really recommend people watch it because it's like Black Mirror. It's like anything can happen.
Yeah, there's no boundaries, and it's cool. The writer Joe Bakken, who wrote my episode, who wrote Bestie, I think that was his first episode of television that he wrote.
Well, I can see why they chose it as the premiere because it's so good.
Yeah, no, he did great writing, and
Yeah,
it felt like one of those projects that was magically, luckily, like written for me.
it really was. I can't imagine anybody else playing that role.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was lucky. That's where the luck comes in. Is some great writer like Joe is like write something that somehow is exactly you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your experience like shooting Monster? That's a pretty disturbing show.
Yeah. I was in and out of Monster. I did 3 days,
Yeah.
two in LA, one in Chicago, and it was great. Again, like Max was show running it, Ian Brennan was show running it. They were cross blocking, so they were going off of location more so than each episode. So they would do one and two and three and four at like the same time. So that meant that on any given day you might be doing one day of episode one and then the next day is episode five. So it moved quickly, at least for me, but I was in and out. But it was great. Again, I got to mostly work with Susanna Sun, who also brilliant. Like if you're looking for like woman to follow, I would follow her. She's gonna do future great things as well. She played Adeline, who was Ed Gein's girlfriend. She's great. And Charlie Hunnam, though I only met him briefly, was great. He did this really kind of wonderful thing where he introduced himself to me and said, I'm Charlie Hunnam, normally. And I was like, oh, hi, Emma. And then from there, he like dropped into Ed Gein. And you saw it. Like you saw his whole voice, body posture change. And for the rest of the day, it was like, oh, that's not Charlie. That's this character he's portraying. And I thought that always stuck with me as something that was really cool. And I don't know, I think for people who are going, I don't know if he went full method or anything, but for people who are going more intensely into their character where they're not taking as many breaks from them, I think introducing yourself to people as yourself is such a classy thing to do. It creates such a safe environment on the set, and then everyone is just then blown away and in awe of you when you dive into your work. So I don't know. I've had great experiences. I've been so lucky. Like every set has been like nothing but positive, amazing people, extremely talented. So it's been good.
That's awesome. And I hope people start with Bestie, which is American Horror Story season 3, episode 1, and
Hmm.
then go to The Beauty. And if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, just watch the last 2 episodes. And then you'll get hooked.
Yeah,
You'll get hooked and then
exactly.
you'll go back to the beginning.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's great. And I definitely recommend in The Beauty, there are some other guest stars who come in and their arcs are really incredible as well. I think The Beauty does a really good job of throwing random new people into the story and making you care about them, which I think is pretty impressive because sometimes you just want to get back to your leads.
Absolutely. It's really an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
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 And there might be a season 2. Who knows? They kind of teased it.
Yeah. Feels like there should be. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. Well, I also want to ask you about the Erl King. This is a 16-minute short film from AFI. It's available to stream for free. I'll put a link in the description. My former professor, Kate Ketchum, was the cinematographer for this project. It's about a young woman from a strict colonial village who finds herself seduced by an ancient woodland god. She falls into a fantastical romance that threatens to consume her. Can you tell us about your character, Leora, and your experience of shooting this film?
Well, first of all, can you see like what I play consistently?
Yes,
It's
you're
like
getting
pretty
typecast.
good through line. Leora's great. I mean, Leora wants more than what her town and family can provide for her. She feels different. She feels ostracized. Though you don't really pick this up in the actual project, one of the subliminal things that we were working with was that she's not really fertile. She's not someone who's gonna get pregnant and have kids, which in that town was important. And so she just felt like impure and wrong and not like she could live in her own skin in this town. So she runs away and meets the Erl King, who is played by a brilliant monster guy named Marty. And he does monster work across all of television, so he's pretty badass. And yeah, I think it is one of the most visually beautiful things I've ever been in. So shout out to Kate, because it is really stunning. Like everything about it is pretty. And even
Absolutely.
on the horrifying parts, it's like grotesquely beautiful.
Absolutely. Everyone should go check that one out. The AFI short films are so high budget and professional, like they look like like movies. You also made another AFI short film called Children of Change. This one's also streaming for free online. I'll put a link in the description. It's about a 16-year-old girl, Joan, who is desperate and anxious about the climate crisis. She escapes to the forest to drink liquid plastic while live streaming herself on Instagram, demonstrating with her body what we're doing to the planet. There aren't a lot of movies about the climate crisis. What was it like getting into the headspace of someone who cares deeply about an issue but doesn't really know how to channel that passion into something productive?
I mean, I think it's a little depressingly familiar. It's like, I think the difference between Joan and a lot of people is that she decides to care anyway, which is a pretty rebellious, ballsy, painful move on her part. I really like these characters that are, they're almost rebellious in their passion. Like they care so much about something that they just don't take no for an answer. Bella is like that. Joan is like that. Leora is like that. Like that's really interesting to me, and I'm grateful that AFI let me like play with these characters. Joan is, it's like a mental health story as much as it's also about the environment. It's, she's not doing well because she recognizes that things aren't going well in a global way, and I think it also, though it doesn't overly get into it, I think it is about like how she has access to the internet. She has this following of people looking to her for what her opinion is. She is noticing all of the world's problems because it's right in this magic box she gets to carry around. And then she's not the type of person to turn a blind eye to it. So then what did she do? She's overwhelmed by the state of the world. And then that, doesn't lead her to making decisions that actually benefit the world. It's beautifully done. The director Nitsan did a beautiful job, and the girl who played my best friend is still like a good friend to me today, so I'm lucky for it.
Well, for a performance you did so early on, I think it's quite good, and you've only gotten better since then. But I have a link to those two short films in the description, so people should check them out, and then head over to Hulu for all the other stuff. I want to ask you about your upcoming projects. You have a film called Glance, which is the first feature film from Zilong Wang. You previously collaborated with him on the short film Christmas Dumpling and Tortellini. Could you please tell us about that collaboration and what we can look forward to in Glance?
Yeah, this was great. He was also AFI alum, and I did his thesis. And I think the really cool thing about Glance and my experience with it is that it was a bilingual set, and the primary language was Mandarin. Because the story ultimately is about a Chinese girl who comes over to America, played by Xing Yao, who's amazing. And she's, trying to navigate American culture in the 90s and bury her aunt who has passed away. So I think, like, for me, it was very cool to experience not having the primary language at a workplace. I think it was humbling and definitely made my perspective shift as a person. And then the actual story is fun because it's like my character is sort of this like rebellious American gum chewing, smoking, like 90s grunge girl. And so it was really fun to play that off of like Xing Yao's character's grace and intelligence and organization and like responsibility. So that was really cool. And to be a part of Zalong's first feature was an honor. And I was humbled that he trusted me with it. So I'm excited. I think they'll try to. I think they're editing it right now, so I can't wait to see that one.
You also have an upcoming feature titled Gettysburg 1863, which is about a family who faces wartime upheaval while helping with the Underground Railroad as a Union soldier grapples with conflicting loyalties during the Civil War. Stephen Lang is in this movie. People may know him as Quaritch, the villain in the Avatar movies. Who do you play in this movie, and what was it like making a period piece?
I play the middle sister. The story is about the three sisters, Hannah, Sarah, and Adeline, and I play the middle one, Sarah. It was great. I mean, it was so much fun to read about Gettysburg. The town's history is just kind of, tragically beautiful. And I think is cool now is that Gettysburg has maintained so wonderfully like the history of the battle, which I think is super cool. Um, there's a story by Tilly Pierce who lived in Gettysburg during the time, and she talks about how, the Confederates came and they grabbed their chickens and ate their food, and then they grabbed Tilly's horse and rode the horse up and down the street until they shot the horse because the horse went lame, and then came up the next day for breakfast. You know, it's like I'm smiling because it's just so it is so such a difficult period of time that so many people on both sides collectively lived through. And so this movie is special in that it is looking at the civilians' experience opposed to the battles, which are also amazing, but I think a lot of movies have done that. So I love that it was about the three sisters. I love that it was about them holding it down at home and just having feeling powerless to what was happening in the country and happening to their loved ones. And I enjoyed it as well because Sarah is the sort of the forgotten middle child, and I really enjoyed the dynamic of fighting to get attention in the script and kind of feeling like I never did.
Nice. You should come back on the show to promote those projects when they come out. Very
Yeah.
excited for that. And before I let you go, what are like some type of projects that you want to do, that you want to act in? And also just in general, what do you love about acting? What keeps you motivated to keep putting out self-tapes and auditions every day? And yeah, I want to know like what your dream role is.
I would love to do like a buddy comedy.
Hmm.
That's a goal. I think I have some rebranding to do if I ever do a buddy comedy,
Yeah.
but that would be a dream. Um, I love fast speaking, quick thinking pieces, so that would be really exciting to be a part of. Any character that's constantly thinking on their feet, I'd be really interested in. What I love about acting, I guess it's like this itch you get of like with Bella, for example. I just there's so many things about her that I'm like, "Oh, I would love to see what she does in this situation. What would she do?" Like she's, taking what you know about a character and then expanding it out into all these different life experiences. It's like playing detective. You're like, "How can I understand why the character is how they are?" And that's just like the best part about it. And then you get to do all these cool things and that you never would have done if it was real life. So it's just a win-win. Like I don't know, it just makes me kind of itch, and the itch doesn't go away till you do it. And I don't know, like I don't necessarily have a beautiful answer to like why that's important or why I do it, but I just know I feel antsy until I'm doing it. So
Well, where can people find you on social media if they want to keep up to date with everything you have going on?
you can follow me on Instagram at Emma period Halleen, and it's two L's and two E's in my last name.
Awesome. There will be a link to your socials in the description. Once again, I hope you all check out Emma's brilliant performance in The Beauty, which is streaming now on Hulu in the US and Disney Plus internationally. Also, check out American Horror Story Season 3, Episode 1, Bestie. I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the Cinema Flow podcast. Be sure to rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week with more fun movie chats, but until then, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.